as per usual, we're going to be listening to a couple phone calls, okay? Sometimes I know we listen to just maybe one, but the reason we're listening to two today is we're going to be listening to the same recruiter, two different conversations exactly a year apart. All right, Scott, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Seth, thanks for having me on. I've had the pleasure of working with so many folks throughout the years. We could pick any call apart, right? So we could pick this call we're on right now and say, hey, Seth, your voice, your tone, or Scott, your voice, your tone, your mannerisms, right?
Right.
So keep that in mind when we share.
Okay, so let's dial in the second call here, and we're going to compare and contrast to the first one. These calls are a year apart, so keep that in mind.
Welcome. For quality assurance purposes, your call may be monitored and recorded. To continue, please press 1. Please hold while your call is being transferred.
Afternoon, Super Duper Recruiting. This is Cosmo.
Hey, how you doing, Cosmo? Yeah, my name's Stetson Moreno. I have 5 months of solar tractor-trailer experience. I'm still working on getting my endorsements, and I'm actually trying to switch companies. I was driving for Big Old Trucking, but I had to like leave them due to some personal things, and I was just trying to find a different company.
Okay. I see where there was a note that was in here.
All right, so that's kind of the intro there of the second call. The driver was on hold twice as long as the first one, about a minute. But what do you think about the intro?
Well, I tell you, I'm not sure which one is from a year ago and which one is most recent. But if he combined both intros and had a lot more energy and enthusiasm, he'd have a solid intro. Because the first intro, he said his company name, recruiting, and he said his name. The next intro, he said, good afternoon, recruiting, and his name.
Right.
So if he would have combined both of them with a good afternoon, ABC Trucking, this is Scott in recruiting. How may I help you today? So combining both of those would have given him a great intro.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I understand how busy we get with our day, the number of calls we have to make and how busy we are as recruiters and operations in trucking. We're busy. But you have to remember that might be your 50th call, but his first to you.
That's right.
So you want to treat them all like it's the first call.
Love it. Love it. All about perspective there, right? And once again, kind of similar to the other call, the driver says something came up and he's leaving his current carrier, but we don't really ask about it, right? Which might be really valuable information for us to know if there's something he's frustrated with. That could be a perfect opportunity for us to talk about what we can offer him that may or may not be better, right? But hopefully it's better. But we don't know what's frustrating him at this point.
Absolutely.
So
and I haven't heard the rest of the call, but I believe he said something like, I see here you did, and then we cut the call off. Like he was going to make reference to something about a call he made maybe or something he has on file.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll keep listening. You're right. I think we're headed that direction.
There was a note that was in here from April. You talked to a recruiter at that point, but it looks like what you want. Oh, okay, like 70 cents a mile. We don't have anything like that as far as that rate for where you live.
Okay.
So here's something I would suggest. Don't go in and say, hey, I see here you wanted this, this, and this. We don't have that. I see here you did this. Mm-hmm. You almost want to treat every call like it's a new call because something could have changed for that driver.
Right.
Right. It changes for us. Our lives change weekly, monthly. Right. So what I wanted a month ago could be completely different than what I want now. Or better yet, what I wanted a month ago, now I desire something different now. So that's desires and wants are different.
No, I agree. So it seems to be a pattern or a trend emerging here. And once again, 2 calls by the same recruiter a year later, a year apart, I should say, that the recruiter likes to make assumptions, right? Instead of just asking the question, likes to go ahead and fill in the gaps for the driver. Instead of doing that, let's ask the question and allow the driver to answer, and we'll learn a whole lot more to make that conversation even better. So let's hit play here and we'll keep going.
What do y'all have right now?
Are you in Athens still?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see. And how often do you need to be home?
Not very much often. I'm just trying to go out like months at a time.
Okay, so I have a by and large, whereas 5 weeks out, 5 days home. It's about $1,400 a week for that on average. There's a sign-on bonus. That sign-on bonus is $3,500, and it's running like dry van and refrigerated. The one that would pay the most is a Frugal Fannies account. That's driver unload out of Sturgis, South Dakota, set up as a home weekly run. But that's going to pay the most if you're open to doing unload.
Okay, yeah. So if I don't really want to do no touch freight, it'll be the by and large account.
Yeah, I would say.
All right, man. What are you thinking?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I would suggest, and this happens when I work with companies, they end up buying these headsets because it's all about an experience, right? We're selling an experience for that driver, and you can hear there's someone in the background talking, right? Yeah. So there's many companies I work with that will watch this and go, yeah, we actually purchased the same headset Scott's wearing. Right, that way you can listen to what he's saying or she's saying and respond to what they're saying, and they don't hear the background. That's huge. Another thing is, our recruiter, our friend here, he started telling them different lanes and different pay without knowing what the driver wanted. So the odds of the driver remembering both accounts, the pay, the home time, the weekly, right, is going to be slim to none. And retention starts with recruitment. If you're going to spray and pray like that, at least ask the driver, hey, Seth, grab a pen real quick. I'm about to spray and pray and give you a bunch of information that's important. That way they can write it down.
Yeah. Yep. Both really great points. Really great points. All right. Well, there's about a minute or so left of the call. We'll listen to the rest of it, and then we'll do a little bit more compare and contrast, and wrap it up with some big takeaways.
Say that would probably be the best one if you could stay out a little longer like that, because that's about how much experience do you have altogether now?
5 months.
I'm sorry, I was cutting out. What was that?
5 months.
All right, let me see. If I bump it up to a year towards your pay rate, 64 cents a mile on that. So we could look at that. But yeah, overall average on that account, that's about $1,400 a week. Top performers are making more like $90,000, so closer to $1,800 a week.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Do y'all do the urinalysis test, or do y'all just do the hair follicle test?
We do both. Yeah, most major carriers do both.
Oh.
So
okay.
that's going to go back. Normally it goes back 3 months, but I mean it's not an exact science either. So it could go back more like 4 or 5 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I know I'll be able to pass the urine analysis, but the hair test, I don't think I'll be able to pass that one.
Well, at that point, just let us know. But yeah, I mean, like us, Wonka, Dunder Mifflin, Stark Industries, Wayne Enterprises, several others. I mean, yeah, we all do the hair follicle. But definitely, just let us know.
Okay, cool. All right, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right, man. How would you handle that, Scott? I know that's going to come up occasionally. How do you handle that?
Well, it definitely does. Let me touch on a couple of things real quick. He asked him 2 questions that the driver already gave him the answers to earlier in the call. So that shows that we're not active listening. We're not present, right?
Yep.
He asked him if you can stay out longer. He already told him he'd stay out. He asked him again, how much experience you got? He asked him that earlier in the call, right? And then the driver said, that's fine, too fast. So it's all about the counterfeit commitment.
Yeah.
The driver said, that's fine. He was ready to move. There's a reason for that usually. When a driver says, or anybody says yes too soon, and they don't know everything about the product or service or what the job is, you might want to ask a few more questions, powerful questions, right? And then at the end, he said it a few times. He says, at that point, let us know. Well, what do you want him to let you know?
Right.
And then he said it again. Okay, let us know. Let us know what?
Right.
Right. Those are filler phrases that we use just to jump off the call like he did.
Yeah. No, great points. Yeah. And
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Seth. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, obviously, big red flag at the end too, right? Where the driver's saying, hey, I could pass a urinalysis, but gosh, hair follicle, don't, basically said he couldn't pass it, right? So some red flags going up. And obviously that's sensitive information that you got to be a little bit careful on how you ask it. So what would your advice be to a recruiter who hears something like that might be a little hesitant to ask more about it? How could they maybe phrase that to still learn more without necessarily getting themselves in a tough spot? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're listening for pauses in the questions the drivers do ask, right? Whether it's unloading and they pause after you give them the answer, the weeks out, hey man, do you guys do hair follicle testing? There's a reason you ask that. And just pause for a second. And he will open up or she will open up and tell you.
Yeah. I love it.
So just give them that little pause. A lot of folks think that a pause is a bad thing, and it's really not. A pause is a powerful thing when used correctly.
Awesome. No, that's really good advice. I think that's a great way to handle it. You basically just repeat back what they said, turn it into the form of a question, right? Just by adding a question mark and changing your tone. And then that pause is that driver's going to feel the need to fill in the gap, right? So, okay. Awesome, man. So 2 calls, same recruiter, same company, a year apart. And you may not even know, I know, but because I grabbed these calls, but any indicator as to which one you think was the newer one, right? Do you feel like this recruiter over the past years made a ton of progress? What are your thoughts on the progress that he's made?
I don't think he's made any progress. I think he's going through the motions of processing a phone call.
Yeah.
Right. So he's not uncovering the driver's motives of why he's calling. Right. He's not aligning the solutions that he has at his company to what the drivers are looking for.
Right.
He didn't build rapport and connect with either of the drivers, whether it was last year or this year. It's just more or less just checking the boxes, coming in to go to work. And again, I understand he's probably an amazing recruiter 98% of the time. So there's a good chance we just grabbed 2 calls that weren't amazing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's possible. But you mentioned it earlier, the volume of calls that he's probably handling, whether it's inbound or making a bunch of outbound too. I mean, he's on the phone all day, so it's tough to maintain that energy, to stay positive, to treat each individual like an individual, because it feels like the same conversation over and over and over. So give us one tip, if you could, on how you can treat individuals like individuals, right? How do you make that person feel like this is your one and only conversation that day and not the 100th call that day? What do you recommend?
There's a few things that I do, and you wanted one thing. So I'll give you, one thing that I do is to make the individual feel like they're the only person in the room. The only person I'm talking to is I active listen.
Yeah.
So I'm doing active listening, which is a skill that a lot of folks believe they have, and I struggle with it myself, but I'm giving them their full attention, and I'm showing genuine interest to everything he or she says, and I seek to understand what they're saying, and I don't assume that I know what they're going to say.
Right.
So the tip is active listening. Release that driver from your expectations and all the 15, 20 years of experience you have. I have to do it every week. I go into a carrier's office.
Yeah.
I got 30 years of trucking, leadership, sales, recruiting experience. I can't assume each recruiter is going to do it the way I do it, because the way I do it's not perfect either.
Yeah.
So just be humble and active listen to the folks you're talking to.
Phenomenal advice. Really, really good. So I hope the big takeaway for everyone today is, how have you improved over time? right? If you've got access to your own call recordings or the team's recordings, I think this is a great exercise to listen to a call from a year ago and then last week and compare the two, right? What are the trends, the patterns? Are they the same year over year, or are you making improvements? So really appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, Scott does a whole lot of this, and so I was super excited to have him on, and he didn't disappoint. He shared a lot of phenomenal nuggets. And thanks again, Scott, for being on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
All right, awesome. Well, join us next time. We're always going to be tuning in to calls, just everyday calls from recruiters. And like Scott mentioned in the beginning, there's always something we can find that went well, that could have been better, but let's keep working on it together.